In this video we're going to look at how we're going to embed some pieces of lead pipe. So first of all, let's look at the pipe. We've already cut it here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pipes, and I've cut 2 pieces of pipe per type of pipe. And I'm going to take 1 sample from each bag. And the idea is that I'm going to put the piece of lead pipe, 1 piece of pipe inside each of these, and then we're going to mix some resin up, and then we're going to pour the resin inside the holes here, and then we put them under vacuum. We take it down to 100 millibar, and then we cycle it back up to atmospheric pressure, and then we take it back down again and back up again, and we do that 2 or 3 times, and that's to remove any air bubbles that might be in between the resin and the lead pipe. And then all we do is take it back up to atmosphere, cover them over with these little pots, and then leave them overnight. So these little pots, we've got 7, so 01, if I just put a pen mark, that could look like 10, so this is 01, 02, 03, 04, 05, 06, 07, so we've got 7 tops. So first of all, let's go and mix up the resin. So there's these little tubs here, and the little tubs contain little ice cream-like paddles that you can use to stir. And we're going to use 7 moulds, but the tub here will only make up to 4 moulds. So what I'm going to do is going to do 2 sets of mixtures. So I'll put that on the top, and we'll zero that. And we'll do the 4 moulds first. So this requires 100 grams of this. So what we're using is EPO-Fix resin, and this is a low temperature setting resin. So that's what we're going to use, and we're going to do 100 grams of this. So in actual fact, there's a special top that goes on, like so. And I'm going to put in 100 grams. It is really important actually to do precisely what it says, and do the exact amounts that it said, because if you get a little bit too much resin or a little bit not enough, and the proportions are wrong, then it might not harden in the way you want it. So I'll try and get it as close as possible to 100. One more splodge maybe. I would settle for that, 99.99. I bet if I blew on it, it would become 100. But there we go. So that's the amount of resin. And then over here, you've got the hardener, and the hardener is 12 grams of hardener. And this one's a little bit harder to pour, actually, and it would be good to pour from a container, but I can't see one here. Let's see what I can do. So I'm going to zero it now, and I'm going to add 12 grams of this. You can do this in a fume cupboard because it's a little bit smelly. We're just doing it on the top for the filming. That will be alright. So 12 grams is what we need. See if I can get as close as I did before. Coming up to 11. Tension. Probably easier ways of doing it than this. One more drop. Well, 2 more drops, maybe shot over, but that's fine. So now we've got 12.04. Not as impressive as I had hoped. I thought 12.00. There we go. So now what we do is we take this off the balance, and we give it a mix. And this is actually where you mix well for about 2 minutes. So if you look at your watch, and I'm going to do it for 2 minutes. So I'm going to mix it, and it is important to give a good thorough mix. If you don't, then one of the things that can happen is that when it hardens overnight, then you can get problems and the resin comes out and it's sticky or something like that. So I'm going to give it a good mix for 2 minutes. So, there isn't an interesting way to mix, so you just have to keep mixing it. And you can then use, according to Stuart's, you can use this for the next 30 minutes, but generally I get it ready to use pretty straight away. So I'm mixing that now. Not quite there yet, still got a minute to go. And then what I haven't done is I haven't put the pieces of pipe into the mould, so that's my next little step I'm going to do after mixing this. It's quite a thick liquid, so actually it's a little bit hard work to mix. But as jobs go, mixing things is quite a therapeutic, relaxing thing to do. So 30 seconds left. I just follow the instructions, and 2 minutes is the instructions. I mean, you can do it. If you did it less, I think that's, wouldn't be a good thing to do. So 15 seconds. Okay, 4 seconds, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so it's fully mixed. So I'm going to leave it for a moment, and I'm going to put in the samples over here. So it's important here that I don't mix up these samples. So I'm going to write here, I'll just put it there, 01, so that's the first sample goes there, and then 02, second sample, do that one, 03, sorry, that's 03, 04 is there, 05 is here, 06 is here, 07 is there. So we've got up to 7. If you want, you can put a little arrow there, that helps. I've got a little bit of cardboard which these are resting on. It's just a normal desiccator. It's a plastic desiccator. So obviously, if any resin comes out onto the cardboard, you can just cut a new piece of cardboard. Likewise, with this writing, you can just cut a new piece and put new writing on, or turn it over. So now they're all ready in there. And so the first one, I'm going to load them up. I'm going to take one out. So this is number 1. And I'm going to put it in. Now what I find is, if there is any writing on here, what I've generally found is that when you add the resin, the writing comes off. So that's why it's important to make sure you've labelled and you know which one's which. So that was number 1. Number 2 is here. I've got labels on some of these on the side. Like I said, they'll probably come off, but you should be able to see the writing through the resin. Number 2, number 3. If you can get it as centre as possible, it's better. 3, 1, 2, 3. I'm missing number 4, so I'm just going to go back and see if I can find it. Right, so remember number 4 I've already done before, so there is no number 4. So in other words, this is now, I'm going to change number 4 to number 8. Out, try again. 08. Okay, so there's no 4, just 8. I might look at no number 4. So we need to get number 8. So number 8 goes in that. There we go. And we've got number 5. 5 in there. Push out a little bit. There's that. Number 6. Oh, 6 goes in here. There we go. And lastly, number 7 goes in here. There we go. Right, so we've got those there. So the next little step is one more little mix. Pour the resin in. So we're going to pour it up to nearly at the top. So there's enough for 4 resins here, and then I'll prepare another little mixture for the remaining 3, and then we'll do the evacuation. So. There we go. So the pipe is underneath the liquid. There we go. Back to that maybe. There we go, it's under that. Right, so that's everyone done. So now what we need to do is do the other mixture for the remaining 3. Time is ticking, because remember it says you can use it about 30 minutes. So we'll go back onto here. And this time we're using 75 grams, because we've only got 3 resins, so I'll zero that one. We'll keep the stick in, see if I can get 75 grams on this. .36 grams, which is a bit above 75. If it goes too much above, then I'd recalculate the amount of hardener you need to add. So I've done a little calculation here, and it's 9.04 grams of hardener. So I'm going to add the hardener. It's a little over. A little more than I wanted there. 9.18. Let's have a little look. I've had 9.18, 9.18 of hardener. So I'll just recalculate how much resin that's going to need. So 9.18. So ratio is 25 to 3. So every 1 of hardener, 25 divided by 3. Every 1 of hardener, there's 8.3 of resin. So, but we've got 9.18. So we'll times that by 9.18. Times 9.18 equals 76.5 grams of hardener. And I added 75.3. So I really want 1 gram more of hardener. So I'm going to add 1 gram more of hardener. So this will go up to 9.28. That'll do. 9.27. Okay, so now I mix, for 2 minutes, as I did before. So I look at my watch. So it's going to be 11:04, or 11:05, nearly 11:05. I'm still, so time's ticked on a little bit. Remember, it's okay for 30 minutes, but I'm aware that the other ones have been sitting there. So we need to crack on, fill up the other ones, and then you sort out the air bubbles. So I'm mixing, and I'm going to keep on mixing, and you can stop here for a moment. Okay, so I'm now going to add the resin, the second batch of resin, to the final 3 moulds. And you see there's actually a lot more air. I seem to have put in a lot more air into this than the first set. I'm not quite sure why. Okay, so that's all the resin in. So we need to get some of this air out, and importantly, some of the air that we need to get out is the air that's actually, the resin is soaking in to the corrosion layer on the inside, and we need to get some of the air out there. So I'm going to put the lid on, like so. Check my instructions. It says place the cups into vacuum desiccate and evacuate until 100 millibars reach. Then close the vacuum tap, let it come back up to atmosphere. Then evacuate again. So do it twice. No, repeat this another 3 times in total. So let's have a look. There's a vacuum over here. This is important. There's a tap, there's a little switch over here on the bench to put the vacuum on. When I went to put this, I haven't shown it to you, but when I went to put the vacuum on, I went and banged into this, and I've had a little bit of a spill, so it doesn't look very professional there. But if you do have a knock and a spill, then and the samples move about into a place where you don't know where they were, then that can be a bit of a problem. So you have to be a bit careful. Let's put that 08 so it's visible there. So so if you want, what you can do is take a photograph of it or draw a drawing of it so you know where all the pipes actually are. And because it moves slightly, some of the pipes actually moved in the resin, which is it's okay. In fact, I can't really move them back because I tapped them. So it'll still be fine that they're not in the centre, these two, but it looks nicer if they're in the centre. So anyway, put the lid back on. So now I'm going to put the vacuum on. There's a tap over here, so I'll just open the tap. And then I'll look at the gauge. And you want to get it down to 100. So these bubbles, you'll start seeing bubbles coming to the surface. It's on 400, open up a bit more. Because it's only down to you can have a cage, so I've got a cage on the other side of the room, but because it's only down to 0.1 millibar, then we don't really need the cage. Okay, we'll leave it, it'll just slowly go down. Gradually getting down. Some of the as it's under vacuum, a little bit of the hardener will be coming off. When it gets down to 100 millibar, then what I'll do is I'll shut the tap off on the side of the desiccator. Okay, shut that off. Alright, so now it's shut off, it's not pumping any volatiles out of here, it's shooting down. So I'll turn the vacuum off here. Now really what I should have is I should have a tap on this one here, which I can just open, but I don't. So I'm going to have to pull off the rubber tubing off the vacuum thing. So because of that pulling, I don't want myself to knock into the vacuum container. So I'll see if I can just do it without knocking into it. Okay, so it's off. This is back up to atmospheric pressure, and then what I'm going to do is I'll bring this back up to pressure again. You'll hear a hissing sound, and probably some of these will clear. You can see. So that's once, and I'm going to do that a further 2 times. So that's once. I'm going to bring it back down 100 millibar, further 2 times, and then that's nearly the process ended. So we've taken it, brought it back up and down to evacuate it. It's now back at air pressure. Now we're going to put the tops on. So it's important to put these something like these paper cups on the top. Otherwise, what happens is that the hardener evaporates off, and then the resin becomes sticky. So I'm going to put this one. This was 01. 01. This one was 02. These do pop off. 02. That one was 03. This one was 06. We had 05, then we had 07, and then we didn't have 04, so this one is 08, so we'll change that to an 8. 08 in the centre. Slightly off enough. And put the top back on. And then that's it. So now what we need to do is we can take this over. I'm going to leave it in a fume cupboard. It doesn't need to be in a fume cupboard. That's where I'm going to leave it, the easiest place. And then come back after tomorrow. It takes 12 hours to harden. And when you're finished, what you should be left with is something like this, hard resin, ready to polish. That's the final result.